Our whole intention is to take someone who's on top of us and quickly whip them over into a position where we go from facing the ceiling to one in which we face the floor. The whole idea is to displace weight in jiu-jitsu. It's not to carry weight, it's to displace it to either side. Start with the eyes. Every bridge begins with the eyes. I take my eyes and I look in the direction of the bridge. That direction should be a straight line coming out of my head. So once again, our feet line up, one flat on the floor, the other out to the side. My intention is to look straight up and overhead. So my head is no longer a roadblock for my own bridge. Now as I arch, my knee touches the floor. This foot here actively digs into the mat. Don't just come down on a dead foot. When that happens, there's no weight transfer and your bridge flops. So it's important here, once we get up, our foot actively pushes into the mat. As my right foot comes off the mat, the drive switches from right foot to left foot. And as a result, we end up in a good, compact, athletic position. The ability is going to be a trap and arm. It's no good bridging if my opponent can face out and resist. Once we get that arm trap, then from here we trap our training partner's foot, my feet go into that asymmetrical position, my head comes over, and now you'll see Giancarlo starts putting his hand out for base. But if I play this game correctly, I will be able to overturn his base and come up into a compact athletic position. Okay, the first and most important one for you to learn is the idea of a power shrimp, where we have to take our hips off the mat. So in fact, a power shrimp begins with almost exactly the same movement that we saw with bridging. The idea is we're going to come up with our hips up off the floor onto a shoulder and have just our feet in contact with the mat and one shoulder. Okay, our elbows will always be close to our own torso. It's very hard to perform these movements with extended arms. So as a general rule, we want our elbows close to our own torso. A good thing to have is just your hands close together, like you're in a prayer kind of situation, and that will keep your elbows automatically close to your own torso. So from the situation where we start off, we get our feet asymmetrical, one foot flat on the mat, one foot turned outwards, and from here we come up and onto our shoulder like so. So that there's a slight facing down towards the mat of my body, and the only points of contact I have with the mat are my feet and my shoulder. Now, this gives us an ability to move our hips. Okay, if I just turn over onto my side, my hips don't move well on the floor. I have no ability to generate power off the floor. Okay, and so what passes for a shrimp for most people, it's kind of like a lazy sliding movement, doesn't generate any kind of athletic potential on the part of the bottom athlete. That's why you'll often see people who shrimp like this for hours on end, but then when it's time to actually perform an escape on a resisting human being, they're helpless. They can't utilize the movement they've used at all. So what we want to be able to do is to be able to come up and off the floor so that we have some kind of athletic potential here. And we can use our feet now to join elbow and knee together and create a motion where my knee and elbow come through and my hips come out on the other side. Now from here, we perform a second movement where again, only the feet and shoulders are in contact with the floor. We bring elbow and knee together. We come up, no contact with the mat except the feet and the shoulder. And as a result, elbow and knee can come together and my knee comes inside my own hands, just as it would come inside my opponent's knee in a live competitive situation where I was trying to escape from mount or bottom side control. And then from here, come up to the other side, power to go underneath like so. So it's important under these circumstances that when we block on our opponent, we come up so that our hips are off the floor, and now with my knee inverted, I easily go inside my training partner's knee. So we're halfway out. Now from here, we perform a sliding shrimp on the other side. So you see I slide my body out, my legs come around, and from here, we have our opponent back in guard. The idea of a supine heist. The idea here is that we're underneath an opponent's pin and we want to get up from a supine position onto our knees in a prone position. So the movement is one where I start off just like so. We're going to take our foot out to the side and we're going to give a little heisting motion that takes us over and puts us on our side. So I went from flat on my back, foot comes out, and now we're on our side. From our side, my two elbows are in close to my body. I scissor my legs. It's like so. And as a result, I'm in a position where I can come up to an athletic stance underneath my opponent, where I can go to a single leg, for example. From here, we can hit other movements, sit-outs that we'll be looking at later on in this video, and get up on top of our opponent. So I have an imaginary opponent out to my right. From here, we come out, everything in close. Don't have extended arms here. It's going to make it very, very hard for you to get up. The whole thing is to bring elbow to hip. From elbow to hip, my legs scissor, one over the other. Then from this position, I push off the floor. Don't just have dead feet here. We're actively engaged with the mat. We push off the mat, and we come up into the single leg situation when we're ready to fight from bottom position with the takedown. The precursor to this movement is always going to be some form of underhook. If Giancarlo has the underhook on me, it's impossible for me to get up. My own underhook will stop me. So our whole thing here is to take our hand and sneak it through as an underhook. Now, the next big problem, let's turn it face, is this cross face. Okay, I can't turn into a cross face. So we've got to go inside the cross face. Once we get everything inside, you can see what happens here. We shrimp, elbows in close, lock on tight with them. And then from this position, legs scissor and come up, and there's the single leg situation. Hands locked and ready to attack. Okay? Believe it or not, it's actually harder to do this move solo than it is with an opponent, because you actually have to reach further to get to the mat. So let's look at the move itself. I have an opponent who has managed to pass all the way up beyond my shoulder line and get to a north-south type position over my head. And as a result, it's not possible for me now just to scissor my legs and reach him. So we're going to have to go the extra distance. We're going to throw up a high leg. The idea of a high leg is my 2 feet are going to make contact with the mat. When we go up, one of my feet is going to touch the mat. And then from here, I'm going to turn 180 degrees. So I was initially facing to the east. Then I finish up facing to the west. Key idea is knees come up to chest, and my spine takes on the shape of the bottom of a rocking chair so that I can move efficiently. If my back is flat, you'll never be able to do the movement from this position. So the first thing is discipline with the spine. Then we make contact with the mat, and I use the mat to turn. Hands, one over the top, one in front, and he spins me to north-south. So now everything happened very quickly and we're in a critical situation. From here, Giancarlo goes to drop on top of me. I keep a frame in front of his body, and from here, I throw my body around the corner. We spin 180 degrees, and we're back in guard and ready to play from bottom position. This is the sit back. This is designed to take us from a prone turtle position to a supine guard position. The idea is that I have an opponent on top of me, either to my side or in front of me. And from here, we're going to put a post leg up. Then from here, I'm going to have a turning leg that turns and goes inside my post leg. My head moves back away from my opponent, and from this position, we put our opponent back in guard. This can be when my opponent's out to my side or directly in front of me. It's effective in both cases. It'll even work if someone's directly behind you. I want to make my knees face towards my opponent when he's out to my side. So everything begins with my knee facing my opponent, and then he goes between my knees and we put the man back in guard position. So what we have to be able to do is move our head along the mat. Okay, try to imagine the guy on top of you is 300 pounds. The only way you can effectively move is back like so, to put him back in guard position. From here, foot goes up, leg comes off the mat and pivots. And as a result, my legs split and we put our opponent back in guard position. From front headlock, locks tight, tight, tight. From here, we're going to put our leg up. I pivot underneath my training partner's body. And as a result, we can sit back, put our man back in guard. Under these circumstances, a good tactic for us might be to open up our legs and sit and catch our training partner like so. And from here, it's an easy thing for us to put our man back in guard position. In situations like this, it may be good for us just to take our feet, swish our feet, and then from this position, my knee opens towards my training partner, and as a result, we're able to sit and put the man back in guard.